Feels good. I feel like it's been quite some time.
Welcome back.
I almost feel like a guest. That's sad, right?
Welcome back.
Been busy, been on the road.
It's been different because Devin came in late last week, so we were already into it when Devin came in. So what you hear was me going, I did out 3 parts. I was like, I gotta do this, not here.
It feels different, you know, but life has been life for me. All things. Yeah.
Well, for everybody.
Excited, happy to be back.
Well, because, like I said, I was still mentally in Mexico.
I mean, that's it. Need a little bit of vacation sometimes, right?
I was still trying to get my head wrapped around being back, man.
It's hard to get settled back in after being out. You know?
But we'll talk about doing the show. The thing about Mexico is that they just, nothing is in a rush. Everything is kind of like,
Yeah, like you gotta get here, you gotta get here. You gotta do
the customer service was excellent. I mean, in the resort, but everything is not like it's just different. It's not hectic. And then where we stayed at, technology was terrible, so it was a good thing. So we weren't getting a lot. Like I could be facing, like I could be facing you, and then turn around. But it was just different. It was, what made me think about it was I had the opportunity to share with the class, and my topic was this thing called life. But welcome to another episode of Above Average Black Men. Devin's not with us, so I gotta say like, follow, subscribe. I gotta make sure I get that in, man. Gonna be another great show, and we welcome Chris back.
Yes, again, excited to be back, and spend some time with you guys. I feel like I'm always on the line, but let's get into our topic today.
It's called success.
Yeah, it is.
It's called success.
Almost forgot. It's been so long I haven't been here, man. Above Average Black Man. Like my dad said, like, follow, subscribe. We also need y'all to comment. We need to start building up some of our interactions, man. So if you got topics, send them to us. If you got guests that you want to see on the show, please come our way. Send messages, comment, like you say, like, follow, subscribe. But excited again to dig into our topic today. Dad, you want to present that?
Oh, this is a great topic today. It's not my topic, but I'll present it. It's a great topic, and it's twofold topic. Devin's not here, so I don't know if we actually gonna get into his topic because Devin wanted to talk about the distinction between the movement Black Lives Matters and the actual organization, which is often used to kind of attack, because what people feel the organization stands for, to attack the whole movement.
Yeah.
But to me, it also shows the ignorance and the arrogance of Americans, that we create our own truth and we just run with that truth, regardless of whether it's true or not. And then the other thing we want to talk about, what she's probably going to talk about, is how do we see the future of African-American communities?
Yeah.
Not just African-Americans. I distinctly want to talk about communities. When I think about communities, I think in terms of inner city. And I think in inner city, the infrastructure in inner city, the politics that impact the inner city, the overall living conditions in the inner city, the violence in the inner city. So it's a lot to unpack, man. It's a lot to unpack. So you want to go first, or you want me to just dive in?
I think, kind of where I wanted to start is just something you just mentioned in reference, kind of the money that doesn't go into our communities, which makes it hard for us to really see hope and opportunity. I've been spending a lot of time in Baltimore and, kind of hearing some of the stories that I'm sure are going on all over the world. Like, a specific example down there that's really kind of resonating with me is that, a big kind of property investment company comes down, makes a deal with the government, local officials or whatever, to build down there with the promise that they'll give, for these cuts or tax cuts, they'll be able to give kickback to the community. And a lot of times it never happens. And they can renege on those deals without any consequence and still get the tax breaks and benefits.
Most of the time.
So it's like, I think a big part of kind of no hope sometimes is there's a lot fighting against us.
Well, I'm going to be on the other side of the coin for once this time. I blame us. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. There's 3 reasons why I blame us. One, I blame us because we have great discussions in church. We have great discussions in the barbershop, great discussions at family barbecues. Probably great discussions around the water cooler in our various offices of profession, but we don't do anything. It's just discussions. We don't do anything to try to change things. We don't unify. We don't vote. We don't look out for each other. There's classism within our race.
Yeah,
how we think we're better than so-and-so because of demographics, because I live here and you live there, because of economics, because I'm in what I perceive as the upper middle class and you're not. Even skin tone, man. We still got that dark skin, light skin thing. And then I'm breaking down to a little further. Now the thing they throw in the mix was this whole toxic masculinity where, you got women against men, and especially black men, because now all of a sudden the definition of black men is being redefined.
So do you not
feel
like sometimes it's like some outside forces that I feel like putting some of this?
Like, no, I don't. I agree. Not just sometimes, but also me looking at it from a philosophical point of view, I can't control what somebody does to me, but I can control how I respond.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Very true.
I can control how many times I'm going to fall for the okie doke. How many times somebody going to come into the neighborhood, shake my hand, promise to put a pot roast in my pot in the Cadillac my driveway, and then get elected and do nothing. And then 4 years later, he comes back and I vote for him again.
So, question for you, kind of related to what you're saying right now, because I'll tie this together. Jaylen Brown for the Boston Celtics just accepted or kind of signed that major contract, and as a promise, he's going to give back to the black community. He wants to make Black Wall Street out there, So with us talking about no hope and like us having an impact, do you think that's something that can produce? And do you think more people will probably start to replicate something like that if it's successful?
Yeah, I don't think it's replicate because you have some people doing it already. He's more direct and more vocal about it and probably more into the economics of it versus the programs to help kids put in a position to help themselves. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think to me, and this is why I'm not in charge, I think every athlete, the city they play in, should do something similar to what he's doing. Because you're getting paid.
Or like put something into the pot.
Whatever it is, even if it's contributing to the local school district, I think every athlete, the city you play in, you should do that. I do. I agree 250,000%. That we need to do more like that. But part of the problem is that only works if you fix the educational system. And we don't complain enough or do enough about the educational system. We're in a situation where, we fought Brown versus the Board of Education to be equal. But we're still not equal because of school in the suburbs versus school in the inner city. It's still not even close to being equal.
Point earlier about it's on us though, and saying education is important. I don't really think we value it like that in our community anyway. Like,
no,
teachers need to be paid more for a lot of the things that they get to
need
to deal with. Right, but then again, like I hate to say it, you work in the schools, like how many parents can you say actually a lot of times are active or involved in some of the situations you did?
But I think it's twofold. I think because I do parenting stuff, like tonight, I did a parenting workshop tonight. 3 parents showed up with their kids. Last week I did the parenting workshop. They recorded, nobody showed up. But I can say this: when I go into schools, when I was working with some kids in summer school, and I would hear them, no hope, I don't care. So my point is, I agree with what you said, but at what point do we recognize it's not happening at home and start putting things in school? And start teaching character education, start teaching about entrepreneurship. Go back to teaching these kids home economics.
So who do we put that on? Do you say it's the school that's not changing actually what they're teaching?
Oh, of course not. The school is teaching the same way it taught. You go back to your school now, they probably teaching the same way they taught when you were there. If you go back to the school has not changed the way they still teach like it's 1950s.
So I think that's more so like
they still teach like it's 1950.
Then who do we go to about actually changing it?
Yeah, how would you combat that? Because
parents got to make more. One, parents got to make noise. 2, you put these elected people in, and I'm not beating them up, but I give you a perfect example. When Obama was in office, all the black people talked to him like a dog because he didn't do this, he didn't do that. But you got local politicians that have been for years and done nothing. Yeah. And we don't even hold accountable. We just keep reelecting them. So I think, every parent is not going to do it, but the ones who have enough sense need to start making noise. People who put in a position, there's a lot of African Americans in influential positions in the school district. Mm-hmm. Look out, and I'm not saying only look out for your people, but look out for your people. You sit and complain about we don't have enough resources, but what are you doing to get resources? Like I'm at one of the schools I'm in over the summer, 87 degrees at 8:00 in the morning. Okay, so we try to figure out, we knock the program down because it's too hot for the kids. they concerned is about just having the program. What are they concerned for? Because these kids ain't learning when their brains being fried.
Right.
You sitting there, I mean, they're not. So are you really concerned about the kids? Now, let's fast forward. Yo, this is 2023, about to be 2024. You don't have air conditioning in these schools. You know what the temperature is. You know this. Like, this is not the first summer it's hot, so give me a break. So that's what I'm talking about. You got to start investing, and somebody has to do it and stop saying, well, the parents need to do it, the school need to do it, politicians. One, pay your teachers more.
Yes.
That's not going to come unless people
like
nationally, people need to get together nationally and start demanding we pay teachers more. That has to be a national thing. It can't be just Philadelphia.
They don't want to do more.
Right. It has to be national. The second thing is some of these teachers got to go. Because some of these teachers are not good. I'm just saying that. They just not good. They shouldn't be teachers. You got to raise the quality. But I think more importantly, there has to become a united voice. And I don't want to start blaming people. We talked about this a little bit last week, Devin. We were saying the church used to galvanize people. The church used to be the place where it wasn't about religion. Martin Luther King on site, where people came and they united people for a cause.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't about my church, your church, your church. It was a place where we united for a common cause, whether it was voter registration, whatever it was for, whether it was a boycott, the bus boycott or whatever it was. That was a place. You no longer have that place now. Where's the place that people go to unite now? They don't.
Yes,
that's I need. But you're, as much as I hate to say it, but you're right. As much as I hate to say it, you were 250% right. It has a great influence than most churches have.
Yeah, it does. It does.
What was it they had the last there? They had trip a kid or something like that. You get a kid, you get the kid dancing or something, and you try to trip him from behind. Kids were doing that. Kids were doing that, and I don't know. Somebody was telling me about it, and then I'm watching two. We got junior counselors. I'm watching a junior counselor do that to another junior counselor, and he's a teenager. Like, yo, you should be smarter than that. Right. And the girl turned around and said, "Really?
Everybody's doing it."
But that's my point. So we have to change what the influence. And how do you change the influences? One, we got to do a better job of getting united voice.
It's dark out here.
Two, now I agree. And me, I'm always the guy that the glass is half full. Yeah. But I'm looking at the educational system. I'm looking at the next generation of people coming up behind us. I'm looking at their skill set or lack of skill set. And I'm not talking about black people in general. I'm talking about the black community. If you look at the violence is going up in the black community. We're just killing each other. They don't stop at stop signs. They don't stop at red lights, predominantly in the black community. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. So when I say that,
everywhere now.
Yeah, but predominantly, if you're going, like, I don't even pull off now. I always look both ways before I pull off. So the point I'm making is it has to start somewhere. And it's going to get worse before it gets better because, we still
definitely feel like that. Like, you can see it a lot of times, like, where young kids, decision making. Like, you find 14, 15 years old, like, doing things that you never would have imagined.
It's a generation of followers. Chris, I had a kid who didn't miss a day of school, but he didn't go to class. He went to school every day. Well, I was hanging out with my friends. That was like the primary thing they told you while they all in summer school. I was hanging out with my friends. Then you couple that with I don't care because they don't think they have a future because they locked into this vicious cycle. But yeah, hanging out with my friends.
I think that's another thing. Trying to give them a sense of hope in the future. Like, I don't think we do necessarily the best of jobs of that at times in our community.
And I think we failed, and I'll tell you exactly how we failed, because we keep telling these kids, know your history. Mm-hmm. We keep telling these kids, people died for you to right to vote. Yet we're not speaking out against this voter suppression.
So kind of tied into our original topic, though. Like, I think we try to lean on groups or people, kind of like Black Lives Matter, to when they have those positions to take advantage of those and like do justice for our community. But there's always allegations and things that you see surrounded around Black Lives Matter that it's like people would find it hard to divide the organization from the movement.
But I blame us again.
So it's like, can you even talk about that a little bit though and explain what that means for people? Because I think that's where it's an issue as well.
It is Devin's topic. Before you came in, we talked about how look, America is constantly being duped. Mm-hmm. They're constantly being duped. And what people do when something comes out, they'll find the flaw in it and they'll start to flaunt the flaw, regardless of how legitimate the cause is. And then even us as Black people, we focus on the flaw. Mm-hmm. Like Black Lives Matters Okay, you can come out and say it's about transgender, whatever it is, but Black Lives Matter speaks for itself. It wasn't intended for one specific group of people, whether you were Black, Chinese, or Black. It was Black Lives Matter, simply saying that our lives matter. So you even got Black people arguing, well, it's about trans. No, we fell into the trap. We forget all about what's happening to Trayvon Martin and all the Black people that got killed for senselessly. So we so busy arguing about because somebody came out and said, "Oh yeah, it's transgender. It's a transgender organization." So that's what we do. So instead of saying, "Okay, it's about Black Lives Matters," regardless of who founded it, what the premise is, this is what it stands for. It's funny because not funny, but for instance, they still got lynched on the books in some of these places down south. Yeah. Ain't nobody arguing about that. You're not sitting here talking, and that's you're not arguing about that. So they'll find a flaw no matter what it is. You get a move, Colin Kaepernick. You find a flaw, you get people distracted, even Black people. That everybody knew what the kneeling was, the intent was, but then he wore some socks, and it became what picture he had on his socks, and then that became the issue. Even Black people, NFL players who understood what got hijacked.
So I think a lot of times what happens too is I think we allow for it to kind of dilute the movement. You know what I mean? Like where we just kind of let it die down a bit because of all those things that happen and get attached to it. I mean, it's funny that while we were talking about that, it made me think of specifically the situation with B. Simone, where she was talking about Martin Luther King and trying to diminish him because allegations. I like saying allegations. Allegedly.
Yeah, and they gave her the platform to do it. Why? Why did they give her the platform to do it? Why?
Because it's okay to do it. And
because it's us going against each other. Mm-hmm. It's us against fighting against. Why should I try to discredit Martin Luther King or Malcolm X when I get a Black person to do it for me?
Yeah.
Why? Because it speaks more volumes when I get somebody who look like them to do it. So I think that's part of the. That's part of the issue is we allow people to dilute it. We do. We give people the power to dilute what we're doing. And we got to do a better job.
Yeah. So
when you say we got to do a better job, what are the next steps? How do you get people to realize, listen, the movement is completely separate from the organization? Because from my understanding, like I understand what you're saying, but if you look on the mission statement of the actual website for Black Lives Matter,
do you even think the movement has? I don't even know
it was
how
stated in there. But how do you get people to behind the movement more so than?
I think I might be one of them people who don't believe in it anymore.
Okay, let me say this. I get what you're saying. I thoroughly understand what you're saying about the organization, but Black Lives Matters is much more than the organization. It still matters. So it's not, I'm not saying you donate your money to an organization. I'm not saying but that phrase itself speaks for itself. How many people give money to a fraudulent organization and then turn around and give money to somebody else the next week? Don't say a word. How many times people you send, for instance, a lot of nonprofits when they collect for African Island places, 20, 30 cents on the dollar goes to the actual cause. The rest of that goes to expenses and other stuff. You don't hear nobody talking about stop giving money to, no, they still do it. 100% of that money is not, if you're really doing charity, how come 100% of the money is not going there? So I hear people when again is what certain segments of America, that's what they do to distract us. They get you focused on, and okay, even it's about why, and I get grief for this because I'm a Christian, but so what? Because you're a Black transgender, your life don't matter? I don't understand. I had the conversation in my church. So what are you saying? That's not biblically based either. A life is a life. Yeah. And the Bible says a sin is a sin is a sin. So they're transgender, and maybe I lie. Maybe I cheat. Come on. So I think, again, we're diminishing life because of what a mission statement says instead of looking at the big picture here. People burying sons, people burying fathers. It's crazy out here what's happening to African-American males. So, or is this one more thing? It's the same thing when somebody says to me, oh, well, how are you going to get upset when you don't get upset when they, when Black people kill each other?
That's actually what I was about to say to you next. It was like, so what do you say to those people who actually kind of question and say that? Like, well, it is Black people killing Black people. Because to an extent,
it is a big issue.
To an extent, that is certainly a problem. Like,
Like, how can you tell people to respect us?
Well,
and do all this stuff?
Oh my
we can't even
gosh.
do it to
Like,
ourselves.
our community's running amok. We can't deny that. Like,
I'm not denying it. Okay, so do we make murder legal because people murder people now? We say because it's happening anyway. No, I'm just saying. That's my question.
I think at some point we got to step in and be like, yo.
That's what I said at the beginning of this conversation. We have to take some responsibility. You know if your son out there acting like an idiot. You know. Come on, really? You know if your son out there, he not working, he bringing home all his fancy stuff, he helping you pay bills. You know that. Mm-hmm. You know, everybody in the neighborhood knows who the knucklehead is. There's no secret. It ain't like they undercover. So you know what I mean? You know, one, fathers got to be dads, man. Yo, stop managing these kids and leaving them out there on their own and stop. You know,
there's some situations where women are.
I'm gonna get, but you got to fight for it though. I'm not disagreeing with you, but you got to fight for it. I'm not disagreeing with you. Know, I work in fatherhood. I tell the guys the same thing, but you got to fight for your kids, man. I'm not saying get in the custody battle, but you got to fight to be involved because what's the alternative? See them on the news? You know, go visit them in an orange jumpsuit. I hear what you're saying, and that's not every case. There's some cases where men, white, black, whatever, all races, they just walk away.
Yeah, that happens.
They just walk away and start. So that's a whole other show about moms not letting that. Because I'm not disagreeing with you, but as a dad, you know, come on, man. I think all those kids out there, moms ain't stopping it. So we got some dads who just walked away.
Yeah,
we got some dads just walked away.
I heard a crazy stat where a lot of the dads, it's like the same guy.
Well, there's instances where fathers start a whole nother family.
Right.
Start a whole nother family. And again, I don't want to make this a blame the male thing because it's a family structured thing. But we have to understand something as minorities, African Americans, you know, ain't nobody pulling for us.
Right.
We got to pull for ourselves.
Right.
You know, nobody's sitting there saying, you know, and I'm exaggerating. Ain't nobody sitting there saying, yo, we owe them 40 acres in the mill. It happened.
It is.
Ain't nobody sit there saying, you know, when nobody's sitting there saying, well, the school system in these communities suck. Nobody's saying let's pour a bunch of money into these schools to get these schools. No, let's build more prisons.
And you want to know?
Let's build more prisons. Let's build more. Hey, let's get together and build bigger, better football stadiums, arenas.
And I think because of maybe the space that I work into, like in tech, like you hear all this tech talk. You know what I mean? Something about AI and the future's here. They talking about flying cars. Mm-hmm. I seen something with flying cars going to be here within the next few years. You know what I mean? But then our schools, oh my gosh. Like we can't have like the basic necessities that these kids even learn, right?
But because again, it's us. Because we settle for this stuff, Chris. We like for instance, if my kid is look, man, I wish y'all would come home and y'all, I was involved. There's no way my kid gonna be in school and in the 12th grade he can't write his name. There's no way as a parent that should be acceptable. It's no way that your kid is in the 9th grade and still in the 6th grade level and nothing is being done. That is unacceptable.
Some of these parents just probably can't wait till their kids get grown.
Yeah, but I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm saying, but you know that. You don't, if you're involved in your kid's life, you know you're the snuff. Yeah. You know, that's like if somebody tells me they're a full-grown Christian. I say, okay, say a prayer. Now, Lord, lay me down to sleep. I pray so my soul to keep. Yeah, that's the same prayer you said when you were 12. There should be some growth. So I'm just saying, but so just saying, you know when your kid is not, it's your job to know when your kid is not functioning at a certain level. Yeah. You need to know that. And then you need to prepare. We talked about it. I was talking to a parent tonight. We talked about it. I said, I've taught my kids when you walk in the room, you walk with your head up, you smile, you make eye contact. And the lady came back and said, yeah, but you got to understand in some cultures, that's a sign of respect. Yeah, but that's not the culture you live in. Yeah, right. You live in the culture right now. To be successful, you got to follow a certain standard.
You did.
We got to stop saying, that's my point. We got to stop saying, okay, well, some cultures, I don't live in some cultures. I live in the United States of America. The people who are hiring in this country right now, they don't care about that. You look at the floor as a sign of respect. No. And we have to
overseas listeners, we sorry.
No, I'm not. But if I'm there, I agree with us 100%. But I'm saying you can't. We got to stop, and that's part of the problem we have in our community. We always want to come up with some out. Mm-hmm. We got to have an out. Forget the out. This is the standard. Yeah. I was talking to a young lady yesterday in the school, and she was telling me how just talk about dating and so forth. The question: why are you lowering your standard? Why? Because somebody told you your expectations are too high. Why? Because you expect a Negro to get a job. You expect him not to hit you upside your head? That ain't high expectations. No, you see, I'm not. You talk. No, you all don't. That's not everybody.
You're taking a personal conversation.
No, I'm just saying that's not everybody. I'm just saying there's people out here who don't have those lofty expectations, but we in society expect them to lower their standards. It's like you only what you bougie. Why? Because you have a certain standard for what you like.
Good things.
I hear the same thing. Hey, because you acting white because you ain't out here grabbing yourself, man. Hey, no. Every time I talk about vacation, you must be rich. I'm not rich, but guess what? I work hard. I earn my vacations. Nobody rolling up in here saying, "Hey, dude, you going on vacation?" No, and I'm not charging everything on the credit cards. I earn my vacations. I pay for my vacations. But our mentality is that, you got to be rich. No, self-care. You need to practice self. What they say when you get on the airplane? Hey, put the mask on yourself first before you help anybody else. And I'm not saying the selfish way. We, as Black people, we got to help ourselves, man. We got to stop saying, waiting for this, waiting for that, waiting for that. Yo, you know what, Devin? You ain't doing a job. I'm not voting for you next time. I don't care how many times you come in here, how many times you promise me. No, I'm not doing it. You know what? I'm not doing it. You don't represent me. I'm not doing it. This stuff right now that's going on, like Florida, and people don't care. You don't think if that dude getting in office is going to come all the way across the country?
Crazy? It's like, again, we talk about Black Lives Matter, the organization, the movement. I don't think either of them have any type of real kind of...
They lost their traction. Well, why did they lose their traction? Because people systematically attacked them. When they first came out, they were gaining traction. Whether you liked it or not, before people got into it, you saw the shirts, people were fighting, then they started attacking it. And then what? Christians fell off the bandwagon because you're talking about transgender stuff. And the whole issue, what it was really about, people stopped talking about. They stopped talking about Trayvon Martin, George Floyd, all other people that are being Eric Garner. They just all of a sudden became about transgender Black life. That's what they do. They bait and switch us.
I was about to say, that's just something I feel like happens all
the time. So who do you blame, though? Do you blame the person who just, or you blame yourself for being fooled by the same thing every time? At some point, come on.
Two things can be true.
At some point, it's like, and I know it's like the Trumpers. He on TV talking about how rich he is and how he can afford this, but then he's telling his supporters to send him money to pay for his legals, and they doing it. Come on, I don't need your money. I can pay, but meanwhile, send me $100. I can pay my legal fee.
Because people crazy.
But that's my point. That's what we become as a country. We become a lot of us are sheep.
Yes.
We're not thinking about what's going on. We're not thinking 5 years down. We're not thinking about as a community.
Eric Garner said this recently that 85% of people she thinks are sheep.
My brother used to say this, and I used to debate it. Now I agree with him. My brother Mike used to say that, and I agree with him because we don't think in terms of utilitarianism. We don't think in terms of utilitarianism. What's good for the greater good? We think about me. So I don't care if they're about starving. I'm good. I don't care if somebody's white talking about racism and all this stuff because they ain't talking about me because I work in the same place. And that's the problem. So we have to understand all that does not bode well for our communities as we're talking about because they're going down the toilet.
Yes, they are.
They're going down the toilet, man. And what's happening is the more it goes down the toilet, the more somebody comes in and buys it and sits on it and let it go down the toilet more. And then they just keep expanding. And what people understand is while they're expanding, we're decreasing. They run out of places for people to live.
I feel like this might be another show, but I was going to be like, man, we talking about voting and stuff like that. It's like, who do you vote for when you feel like it's nothing to vote for? But we can say that for another show.
No, but my comeback to this is the same thing. We have enough of us to get on candidates. Why we keep recycling the same candidates? Why are we not demanding our own candidate? We keep recycling this. Well, you know why? Because we can't agree. Because I can't put Devin in office because I need to be in charge. I can't put Chris in office because I can't be. Or unless he do something for me personally, that's the problem. We don't think about the greater good.
So do you think we have a selfish issue in our
community? What?
Like everyone's just all for themselves, like you said.
Not everyone, but a lot.
But in terms of parenting, like you said, do you think like the parents too focus on their own life and what they got going on? Yeah. Not even really worry about the kid being able to read.
Michael Jordan, what was the statement? I can't think of another Nike thing he came out and I don't know. Just do me. I'm trying to think of what it was he came out with. Everybody adopted that statement, man. Everybody, the whole selfish mentality was it was just about them. That became so, how many parents are here telling me, well, my kids got to get it like I get it? No, they don't. You can't make them get it, but you should share the information with him what you've learned, so he hopefully won't go through what you go through.
Like, other side of that, you see famous people and celebrities that say feel like they should, like they feel like they spoiled their kids and now they just not prepared for the world.
It's Dana and I used to talk about this all the time. There's a balance that I don't have the answer for. They're not, because typically what happens is I hear you, but typically what happens is if you grew up in a healthy family, you were taught it should be better for each generation. So your goal is to make it better for each generation. In your quest to make it better for the generation, we do. I say the same thing about y'all. Sometimes we give too much. We do. So there's a healthy balance. And you got to kind of find a balance. To strike. It's different with every kid. But adversely, you just can't just ignore your kid and he gonna learn the character on his own, integrity on his own. She gonna learn, what it means to value yourself on your own. You know how many people I talk to during the course of the day that I got to remind them, you have value.
Yeah.
You are somebody. You have value. Nobody should be beating you upside the head, using you for a sex object because we need to do more of that within our community.
We do.
And we don't. We so busy tearing each other down because, man, who they think they are, man. Oh, they the Cosby. You hear that.
Yeah.
Oh, you must be boss. No, I go to work like everybody else do.
But you know what it is? I think part of it is like kind of, I feel like some people that are in higher positions had to kind of make some of that stuff cool again. You know what I mean? Like
I agree 250%.
I feel like people that are influential, instead of them like,
but
almost
it's
money grabbing in a way, it's just like
but they
easily
are
making this nonsense.
It's selfish, but Chris, that's the selfish part about it. I'm paid. I'm paid.
Just like for example, think of these rappers, how they're always rapping about.
We always short night.
A couple different women, but all of them married.
True.
Somebody told me, and this is my closing thing. Somebody told me about a young lady. I can't think of her name. She raps about his sex and all that stuff like this.
They all do.
This is some lady. Yeah. I forget her name, but she kind of hit it big. She's on this podcast, and she's on another rapper. And so apparently the rapper tried to kiss her, and she got offended.
I know what you're talking about.
I don't know. Somebody was telling me the story today.
It's YK Cyrus, the light skinned kid, and
the
chick that just met up with Dr. Umar.
Yeah. So the guy came back and said, "Well, this is all you talk about. So this is who we think you are.
Yeah.
You rapping about how you do this, I'm thinking it's who you are.
I don't know if that makes it right though.
It don't make it right, but I'm saying when you portray yourself a certain way, you control that. You control how you portray. I can't control what you do to me, but I control how I respond. I can't. At some point I gotta stop saying. At some point I gotta stop saying, well, I'm doing this because this happened 20 years ago, because this happened 15 years. At some point I gotta take responsibility from destiny is a matter of choice, not chance. At some point, I got to make better choices so I can have a positive destiny. That's it. That's the reality. And I know people say, oh, I get all that. But how long are you going to hold yourself hostage? How long as a people are we going to continue to allow this to get worse? Our schools are getting worse, not better. How long do we go with our kids, they graduating, they're not really graduating because they're not educated to do anything.
Right.
Yeah. So how long do we continue to allow this to happen? And this is a responsibility as every African American society. We got to start thinking in terms of how can we be better as a people, not just me.
Yeah. I think that's a big key to it is getting out of this me mentality that we have. So,
well, we got a short show tonight.
Yes,
because Chris has plans.
Unfortunately, I had plans. I was unaware that we were moving the show time to 7:30. I've been that far and so far away from this. I was here early.
We started early because we did a couple weeks ago saying we were going to 7:30. Somebody. Hollywood forgot. Hollywood forgot. But you and I knew. So we started early. So you were right, Doug. You were absolutely right. So our new time, again, is 7:30. Because it gives everybody a chance to do what they got to do and give. But thank you for another episode of Nobody Black Men. Oh, Devin can do his part.
Follow, subscribe, share.
Right on time. Yes, we are here to empower, inspire, and uplift the community. It's on us, y'all. Let's get it.
Check us out, iHeartRadio, Podbean Live, which you're looking at behind us. We're on YouTube, and we're on Spotify. Right? You can catch us on Instagram, Facebook.
A
We out
square
there.
BM.
We out there.
Let's go.
Right? Peace. Talk to you guys later.